From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. It has been nearly a week since Election Day, and President Trump has yet to acknowledge Joe Biden as the nation's president-elect. The president and his team are vowing to push on with their legal challenges to the election results. CBS's Natalie Brand has more.
Even as Joe Biden was taking his first steps as the country's president-elect, President Trump and his allies continue to refuse to concede defeat.
This election is not over. Far from it. We have only begun the process of obtaining an accurate, honest vote count.
The president's legal team continues to launch challenges in several battleground states, including Pennsylvania. They say they've received numerous reports of mishandled ballots and other irregularities.
We're going to pursue all of this. Is it going to be enough? No, it's going to take time. Is it going to be enough? We don't know.
To date, only a few Republican senators have acknowledged Biden's victory. On Monday, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell expressed support for the president's effort to challenge the election results.
President Trump is 100% within his rights to look into allegations of irregularities and weigh his legal options.
Later in the day, Senate Majority Leader McConnell posed for photos with the 4 Republicans who were just elected to the Senate. The Justice Department has authorized federal prosecutors to start looking into allegations of voter fraud. But Attorney General William Barr said those investigations should not be seen as a sign the DOJ thinks the election was compromised. President-elect Biden spent Monday here in Delaware in virtual meetings with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris and their newly formed coronavirus task force.
There's a need for bold action to fight this pandemic. We're still facing a very dark winter.
Former Republican Delaware Congressman Tom Evans said Biden won his support.
I think it's time for Mr. Trump to say congratulations to Joe Biden. I think he can help unite this country, and that's one of the reasons I voted for him.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who spoke to the president-elect by phone Monday, says he's ready to work with Biden to end the pandemic and find solutions to other world problems. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Wilmington, Delaware.
Well, officials at the federal agency responsible for financing presidential transitions says that they are waiting until the election has been certified to do so. Joe Biden's apparent election win, and optimistic news about COVID-19 vaccine sent stocks soaring today. The drug maker Pfizer came out with a surprising announcement that its vaccine is 90% effective, could be ready for approval in weeks. The vaccine was like I said, 90% in those trials. There's still a lot of questions, though, remaining, such as how long the immunity will last and how production can be scaled up to get the vaccine out to hundreds of millions of Americans. Well, with COVID-19 cases continuing to surge at a high rate here in Yellowstone County, Health Officer John Felton announcing that he will extend a previous health order that limits indoor gatherings to 25 or fewer people through December 9th. And he also says don't be surprised to see further restrictions depending on the recommendations of a team from the Centers for Disease Control that has been here looking at the situation in Yellowstone County. 3,500 people were infected with the virus last month alone in the county. The percentage of people testing positive jumping from 7% to 22% over the past 2 months.
I cannot rule out the possibility that additional restrictions might be imposed as early as later this week, based on the analysis and recommendations of this team of clinicians. We need to make every effort to slow down this infection rate so that our schools and our businesses can remain open.
Well, one of the main things the team is taking into consideration is what's happening with the rate per 100,000 people. It jumped from 36 per 100,000 to 92 per 100,000 last month. That shows how it's starting to pick up speed, spreading in the community. And with Thanksgiving approaching, Felton is recommending that people keep their gatherings small, also for shorter durations.
What we don't want to see is coming out, when we get to mid-December, a couple weeks after Thanksgiving, having another large influx of cases that would have people sick and hospitalized during Christmas and New Year holidays and the other holy days that happen during that period of time. We always got to remember the way this disease is transmitted is through person-to-person contact. So I know it's important to maintain a sense of connectedness. We just need to do that in ways that keep us all safe.
So again, Felton suggesting you keep those holiday gatherings small, wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, and practice good hygiene. He also said during that news conference that 2 liaison officers have been hired to investigate complaints of people and businesses not complying with the governor's health order, and that 2 more will be hired shortly. Well, there were 11 more COVID-19 related deaths reported across Montana today, as the state also broke 40,000 overall confirmed cases. 4 more deaths in Missoula County and 3 in Gallatin County, bringing the statewide total to 484 now. The Department of Public Health and Human Services is working with county health departments to upgrade the reporting process of COVID cases. Officials say that's why today's new case numbers are about half of what they have been lately. In Bozeman, Montana State University is dealing with an outbreak, diagnosing 212 cases last week. Officials say capacity is pushed to the limit. They're searching for additional housing to quarantine students. The university has reported 725 cases of COVID-19 since August 1st. Gallatin County officials say as the numbers continue to climb, contact tracing has become even more difficult to keep up with, both on campus and off.
Our testing system is showing signs of stress. We're hearing about longer waits for specimen collection. We're seeing more demand there. At MSU, there's testing sites going on, as well as the people working in the labs, working very hard every day in the labs to get results.
All right, turning now to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. That snow has moved on, but left a little more than a dusting in some places.
Oh, let me tell you, Great Falls, 13.5 inches of snow they got out of that storm, and that takes them to 40 inches for the year, and there's still another 5 more weeks before we get into winter. That's amazing. So in our neck of the woods, how did we do? Well, some places up in the mountains did a little bit better. Near Nye, they had 16 inches of snow. That's significant. Livingston, about 5 to 6 miles southeast of there, had 10.7 inches of snow. Near Melville, it had 7 inches. Near Columbus, 6.5. Red Lodge had 5.5 inches up in the mountain. 5 inches over at Bridger, 4 miles south of there, actually. And in Joliet, they had 4 inches of snow. And at Logan Airport, their final tally came up to 3.1 inches of snow. Buildings just did not get hit with the main force of that winter storm. We just caught a little glancing blow, and we'll have the rest of your forecast in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob. All the 2020 general election votes have been tallied here in Yellowstone County, showing a massive voter turnout that broke a record that was set in the last presidential election. Elections officials finished counting all those ballots today. Q2's Mitch Legge has more.
Elections officials in Yellowstone County tallied up the final votes of the 2020 general election on Monday. The elections administrator told me that the relatively small number of votes counted on Monday isn't expected to change the outcomes already predicted by initial results. About 2,000 votes were counted on Monday, most of which had errors that were fixed within the time frame allowed by state law. An all-time record number of voters turned out in Yellowstone County this year. A total of 84,969 voters cast a ballot in the general election, making for a turnout of 81%. That smashed the previous record of a 75% turnout set back in 2016. Now that they're all counted, all of the Yellowstone County votes will stay within their sealed boxes and stored within the county courthouse for 2 years. Officials hold on to the ballots in the case of a possible recount, audit, or lawsuit. Once the 2 years is up, the ballots are destroyed in a shredder. Results from the election will remain unofficial until all 56 Montana counties are canvassed, a process where local government leaders go over the record books to make sure the results are legitimate.
Nothing is official until after the canvass. So our website will continue to say unofficial results. The county will canvass next Tuesday, and then we basically ship those results off to Helena, where the state canvassing board meets. And it takes almost a month for everything to get finalized. A lot of people just don't even realize that happens, but it's all part of the statutory process.
Yellowstone County election results can be viewed on the Montana Secretary of State's website. In Billings, Mitch Legge, MTN News.
All right, thanks, Mitch. Those 2,000 votes again counted today didn't change the outcome of any of the Yellowstone County races. As we move closer to the holiday season, a local Billings business is out encouraging the community to help less fortunate families. Valley Credit Union on King Avenue will host its 4th annual Toys for Tots donation event. That event is set for November 28th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., but due to the pandemic, it'll be held outside this year. The branch manager tells us the credit union's already received about $1,800 worth of toy donations before the event has even started.
Such a great event and charity to be involved with. Everyone remembers waking up and having a toy on Christmas morning and opening your presents. And any event that you can do where you can give that joy to a kid or someone who's less fortunate that needs it, it's something that Valley wants to be a part of.
Olivo says all the toys donated at this drive will stay in Yellowstone County to help bring joy to local kids and families during the holidays. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, with many students out of the classroom and on the web, we look at some of the dangers of remote schooling, let you know how to keep your children safe. And a little later in sports, brotherly love, we meet a dangerous duo hoping to make a championship difference when Central takes on its rival Laurel this weekend.